City police responded to calls about an individual spray painting the presidential statues downtown on Wednesday and found that some of the statues were vandalized. Police responded to a first set of calls around 5 p.m. and found that 6 statues had been painted. A few hours later, police found a person matching the description of the suspect, who was later identified as 66-year-old Charles Rencounter. He was charged with 6 counts of vandalism. Then at around 11 p.m., police responded to a second set of calls about the same thing, found an additional 5 statues had been vandalized by spray paint. The statues were cleaned up by about noon today, but the second suspect has not been found. Police are asking anyone with information about the suspect to contact Detective Brandon Johnson at 605-394-4134 or by sending a text with the letters RCPD to the number 847-411.